If you are over 60, every single bite of food, every piece of fruit, every small snack you think is helping you stay young may in fact be placing your heart in danger without you even noticing. For decades, fruit has been promoted as nature's candy, a guilt-free way to nourish the body, a symbol of health and vitality. Yet in my practice as a heart doctor, I have seen too many older adults, men and women, who believed they were making wise choices, walk into my office with irregular rhythms, valve damage, high blood pressure, or even early signs of heart failure. The common thread in so many of these cases was not fast food or smoking or a sedentary lifestyle. It was fruit. The very foods they trusted for health were quietly undermining their cardiovascular system. What I am about to share with you is not meant to frighten you, but to protect you. After 60, the body changes. Your kidneys do not filter as quickly. Your metabolism slows. And your heart becomes more sensitive to subtle imbalances. Certain fruits, once harmless or even beneficial in youth, can interact with medications, spike blood sugar, overload potassium, or carry hidden pathogens that an aging immune system cannot handle. In this warning, I will walk you through 9 fruits that every senior must approach with caution, supported by patient stories from my years of practice. I will also share what you can safely eat instead to protect your strength, your circulation, and your independence. 1. Bananas. The sweet culprit that can secretly overload your heart if you take blood pressure medication. Throughout your life, you've probably heard the same message. Bananas are rich in potassium. They support muscle health. They are good for your heart. And while that may be true for younger bodies, after 60, the picture changes dramatically. Bananas are particularly risky for seniors who take medications known as ACE inhibitors, such as lisinopril, or potassium-sparing diuretics, such as spironolactone. These drugs are meant to lower blood pressure and protect the heart, but they also raise potassium levels in the blood. A medium banana contains over 400 milligrams of potassium on its own. That is not extreme. But when combined with medication that already elevates potassium, the scale tips dangerously. The result is hyperkalemia, a condition where potassium builds up to unsafe levels, leading to muscle weakness, fatigue, irregular heartbeats, and in severe cases, sudden cardiac arrest. Many seniors do not feel anything until the damage is done. I recall one gentleman, Mr. Harris, age 73, who began every morning with oatmeal, coffee, and a banana. Sometimes even 2. He was diligent with his lisinopril, believing he was doing everything right. Yet over time, he felt more tired, noticed fluttering in his chest, and had difficulty walking even short distances. Blood tests revealed potassium levels so high they were putting his heart into arrhythmia. He never imagined that his morning fruit was colliding with his medication. Once we removed bananas from his daily diet and substituted berries and apple slices, his potassium stabilized and his energy returned. The lesson is clear. Bananas are not evil. But after 60, especially if you are on heart medications, you cannot afford to be casual. Speak with your doctor. Ask whether potassium needs to be limited, and if so, choose alternatives that nourish without tipping your chemistry. Because what feels like a healthy ritual may in fact be a slow-moving trap, and if one banana a day can set the stage for heart chaos, Imagine what happens with a fruit that seems small and harmless, yet carries more sugar than a can of soda. Let us turn now to raisins. 2. Raisins. The innocent-looking snack that can quietly spike your blood sugar and inflame your arteries. Many older adults reach into a small box of raisins, sprinkle them on cereal, or keep them in a jar for afternoon energy. They look wholesome, natural, and free of added sugar. But here is the hidden danger. Raisins are simply dried grapes. And when the water is removed, the sugar becomes concentrated. A tiny box can hold over 25 grams of sugar, equal to 6 teaspoons, with almost no fiber. To slow absorption for a young body that may be tolerated, but after 60 insulin sensitivity decreases and blood vessels become less elastic, that concentrated sugar rushes into the bloodstream, spiking glucose levels, fueling inflammation, and placing tremendous stress on the heart. This is especially disastrous for those with prediabetes, type 2 diabetes, or high blood pressure. I remember Mrs. Clayton, 80 years old, who came to me complaining of fatigue and weakness despite walking every day and avoiding desserts. She was puzzled because she thought her diet was clean, yet her blood sugar readings were consistently high and her triglycerides were climbing. After reviewing her meals, the culprit emerged. She snacked on raisins and dried cranberries each afternoon. Those sugar bombs had pushed her heart into a metabolic storm. Her atrial fibrillation was harder to control. Her vessels were inflamed, and her medication struggled to stabilize her rhythm. Once we removed dried fruits and replaced them with whole grapes in small amounts paired with protein, her labs improved and her energy returned. The moral is that natural does not always mean safe. Especially after 60, your body cannot absorb concentrated sugars without consequence. Choose whole fruits with fiber intact and eat them in moderation. If raisins can do this much harm silently, consider what happens with fruit juice, a liquid form of sugar that floods the bloodstream even faster. Let us now talk about orange juice. 3. Orange juice. The bright morning ritual that may be silently eroding your heart. For decades, we have been told that orange juice is the ultimate healthy breakfast drink, full of vitamin C and sunshine in a glass. But for seniors, it is one of the most deceptive beverages. One 8-ounce glass contains about 25 grams of sugar, almost identical to soda, unlike eating a whole orange, where fiber slows absorption. Juice delivers liquid sugar directly to the bloodstream. After 60, insulin sensitivity drops and blood vessels stiffen. That sudden surge of fructose inflames arteries, raises triglycerides, and burdens the heart. Over time, it contributes to plaque buildup and higher risk of stroke or failure. Because it feels so healthy, most people never connect it to their fatigue or irregular rhythms. I recall Mr. Douglas Tishalou, a retired driver who was diligent with his medications and proud of his diet. Each morning, he ate oatmeal and a glass of orange juice, believing it was the best start to his day. Yet his blood sugar and triglycerides were soaring, and his EKG revealed strain on the left ventricle of his heart. The culprit was that daily juice, once we replaced it with lemon water and a protein-rich breakfast, his energy improved and his heart function stabilized. The lesson here is simple natural does not mean harmless, especially when the fiber has been stripped away. Juice is not fruit. It is sugar water, wearing a healthy disguise. For an older heart, that disguise is dangerous. If one glass can quietly strain the heart every morning, I think of what happens when you indulge in large portions of watermelon, another fruit beloved for refreshment yet risky for seniors. That brings us to the next warning. 4. Watermelon, the summer delight that can dangerously spike blood sugar and blood pressure. Few things feel more wholesome than eating a cold slice of watermelon on a hot day. It is tied to memories of picnics, laughter, and family. But watermelon is not as innocent as it appears. It has a high glycemic index, meaning it raises blood sugar quickly. One wedge can carry nearly 20 grams of sugar with little fiber to slow it down. For older adults whose insulin response is sluggish, this sugar surge can constrict blood vessels, elevate blood pressure, and inflame the cardiovascular system for those with kidney disease or high blood pressure. The effect can be even more dramatic. I think of Mrs. Turner, Lychee, who managed her blood pressure with medication and walked daily. One summer afternoon, she came to my office dizzy, pale, and anxious. Her blood pressure was erratic, and her heart rate elevated. The only thing she had eaten for lunch was nearly a quarter of a watermelon. That large portion overwhelmed her system, spiked her sugar, and clashed with her medication. The result was acute strain on her heart. We were able to stabilize her, but it was a sobering lesson. Watermelon is not poison, but portion matters. For seniors, large servings on an empty stomach can be risky. Enjoy it in small slices. Pair it with protein. And never assume that because it is mostly water, it cannot harm you. When even watermelon can destabilize your heart, consider what happens with fruits that contain unusual compounds affecting blood sugar regulation directly. This is where lychee comes in. A tropical fruit, small in size but powerful in risk. 5. Lychee, the tiny sweet fruit that can trigger dangerous blood sugar crashes. Lychee is exotic, floral, and often viewed as a special treat. But behind its pleasant taste lies a risk for older adults. Lychee contains high amounts of simple sugars, but also natural toxins such as hypoglycin and MCPG, which can interfere with glucose regulation. In children, this has led to well-documented outbreaks of hypoglycemia. For seniors, whose insulin responses are slower and who may already be on medications that affect sugar levels, the risk is just as real. The body first experiences a sugar spike, then an abrupt crash. That roller coaster stresses the brain and the heart. Irregular rhythms, dizziness, and even collapses can occur. I treated Mr. Whitman Tishasi, who had type 2 diabetes and atrial fibrillation. One summer day, he collapsed at home after eating a bowl of lychees on an empty stomach. His sugar spiked, then plummeted, sending his heart into chaos. He was fortunate to survive. For many seniors, the symptoms are subtle fatigue, lightheadedness, or fluttering in the chest. They may blame aging, not realizing the fruit is the cause. The key is moderation and never eating lychee alone or in large amounts. Pair it with protein and be mindful, because even a small sweet fruit can destabilize an older heart in silence. And if something so small can cause such big swings, imagine what happens with a fruit much larger. creamier, and praised everywhere as a superfood. That brings us to avocado. Widely celebrated, yet not without hidden dangers. 6. Avocado. The trendy superfood that can overload your heart with potassium. Avocado has been celebrated as a miracle fruit. It is creamy, satisfying, full of fiber and healthy fats, and often recommended for heart health. But what few seniors are told is that avocado carries a very high potassium load, even more than a banana. A single avocado has over 700 milligrams of potassium, which is normally beneficial. Yet for older adults whose kidneys no longer filter efficiently, or who take medications like ACE inhibitors, ARBs, or potassium-sparing diuretics, this nutrient can become toxic. Excess potassium leads to hyperkalemia, a condition where the electrical balance of the heart is disrupted, causing irregular rhythms, muscle weakness, fatigue, or in severe cases, sudden cardiac arrest. The frightening part is that symptoms often appear only after dangerous levels are reached. I remember Mrs. Collins, age 71, a retired nurse, who prided herself on clean eating. She believed avocados were helping her heart, often eating an entire fruit for lunch. But she also had mild kidney disease and was on medication for blood pressure. When she came to my office with chest fluttering and exhaustion, tests revealed her potassium was far too high and her kidneys were struggling. She was devastated to learn that the very food she thought was healing her was silently harming her heart. Once we reduced her intake and balanced her diet with lower potassium fruits, her symptoms improved. The truth is not that avocado is bad, but that your body after 60 is different. Moderation is everything. A slice on toast is one thing, but daily whole avocados combined with medication can push your heart into chaos. This is the pattern I have seen again and again. Foods praised in magazines or online as superfoods can become dangerous for seniors because of how they interact with medications and aging organs. If avocado, hailed as a miracle, can have this hidden danger, imagine what lies inside canned fruits. Those convenient and comforting little cups sitting in syrup that many older adults rely on. 7. Canned fruits. The convenient comfort that quietly damages your heart. Bright labels, shiny tins, or small plastic cups make canned fruits seem harmless. They are affordable, easy to store, and marketed as a practical way to stay healthy, but what hides inside is a syrup loaded with added sugars. A serving of canned peaches in heavy syrup can contain over 25 grams of added sugar, more than a candy bar. Because the fruit has been processed and soaked, your body absorbs that sugar rapidly, spiking blood glucose and inflaming your arteries. After 60, the pancreas is slower. Blood vessels are more fragile and insulin sensitivity is weaker. These spikes feed a cycle of high triglycerides, arterial stiffness, and eventually heart failure or arrhythmias. I think of Mr. Bennett Tisherba, a widower who lived simply and thought he was eating well. He avoided junk food and believed his nightly bowl of canned pears was a healthy habit. But when he came to me with fatigue and shortness of breath, his tests showed elevated triglycerides, irregular rhythms, and blood sugar creeping higher. The syrup was silently sabotaging him, We switched him to fruit packed in water or fresh slices. And within months, his labs improved. The lesson is painful but important. Not all fruit is created equal. And at this stage in life, hidden sugars are particularly dangerous. Even small amounts repeated daily can wear down the heart quietly. If canned fruit, which seems safe, can cause such damage, what about something that looks even fresher? Even more natural, raw sprouts, often added to salads and sandwiches, may look vibrant, but can carry a hidden enemy that attacks not only your stomach, but your heart itself. 8. Raw sprouts. The innocent crunch that can carry deadly bacteria to your heart. At first glance, 2 sprouts like alfalfa or mung bean seem like the perfect topping. They are light, fresh, and marketed as nutrient-dense, yet they are grown in warm, moist environments that are also perfect for bacteria such as E. coli, Salmonella, and Listeria. For young immune systems, an infection may mean a few days of nausea. But for older adults, these bacteria can cause bloodstream infections that reach the heart. In my years of practice, I have seen patients whose good intentions nearly cost them their lives. Mrs. Morgan Tisserwoo, with well-controlled blood pressure, came in with fever, fatigue, and irregular palpitations. Tests revealed a bacterial infection in her bloodstream and damage to her mitral valve, traced back to raw alfalfa sprouts she had been adding to her salads. She spent weeks in the hospital on intravenous antibiotics and barely recovered. The tragedy was that she thought she was eating clean. For seniors, the risk is high, because once bacteria reach the bloodstream, they can inflame the lining of the heart, a condition called endocarditis, which is life-threatening. Washing sprouts does not eliminate the bacteria. The only way to ensure safety is to cook them or avoid them altogether. If you crave the crunch, replace them with baby spinach or arugula, which can be washed and safely eaten. The heart does not just need protection from sugar and potassium, but also from unseen pathogens. And if a tiny sprout can carry such risk, imagine what happens when a fruit actually interferes with your life-saving medications, changing how your body processes them without your knowledge. That is the danger of grapefruit. 9. Grapefruit. The refreshing fruit that secretly interferes with heart medications. Grapefruit looks like a symbol of health, bright, juicy, and often eaten at breakfast. But grapefruit contains compounds that interfere with a liver enzyme called CYP3A4. This enzyme breaks down many common medications, including statins, calcium channel blockers, and certain antiarrhythmic drugs. When grapefruit blocks this enzyme, medication levels in your blood rise higher than intended, turning a safe dose into a toxic one. The results can be severe low blood pressure, muscle breakdown, irregular rhythms, or even internal bleeding. Mr. Wallace Bassar, a retired accountant, learned this the hard way. He was on statins for cholesterol and amlodipine for blood pressure. He decided to add half a grapefruit each morning, believing it would help him lose weight. Weeks later, he came in with severe muscle pain, extreme fatigue, and dangerously low blood pressure. His labs showed his statin level had built up to toxic levels. He was devastated. He had followed advice to eat healthy, never realizing grapefruit was colliding with his medications. Grapefruit is not dangerous to everyone, but for those on the wrong prescriptions, it is a silent saboteur. That is what makes it so treacherous. There are no obvious symptoms until something goes wrong. Seniors must always ask their doctor before eating grapefruit if they are on any medications. A simple conversation can prevent months of suffering. With this final fruit, we close the list of 9 warnings. But the natural question is, what can you eat? What fruits actually help rather than harm? After exposing the dangers, I want to give you the safe and nourishing alternatives. 10. What fruits can seniors eat to protect the heart after everything we have uncovered? You may be asking, what is left? The answer is encouraging. There are many fruits that truly support cardiovascular health when eaten in moderation. Berries such as blueberries, raspberries, and strawberries are rich in antioxidants, low in sugar, and protective of blood vessels. Apples and pears, eaten whole with their skin, provide fiber that lowers cholesterol and keeps blood sugar steady. Kiwi is an excellent choice, rich in vitamin C and gentle on the body. Cooked fruits such as stewed apples with cinnamon are safe and comforting. The key is to pair fruit with protein or healthy fat to slow absorption. An apple slice with cheese or berries with yogurt creates balance. Moderation matters. Even healthy fruits can hurt when eaten too much or at the wrong time. The body after 60 needs gentleness, consistency, and awareness. Every choice should support your heart rather than stress it. Final message. Your heart has been beating for you every second of your life, more than 2 billion times, without asking for anything in return. Now in your 60s, 70s, or 80s, it asks only for care. Care in the form of attention, moderation, and wise choices. Too many of my patients believed that eating fruit could never cause harm. They thought that because they were avoiding fried foods, red meat, or soda, their diet was safe. Yet their independence was slipping away because of choices that felt harmless. Bananas clashing with medication, raisin spiking blood sugar, orange juice flooding their veins, watermelon pushing blood pressure too high, lychee causing dangerous crashes, avocado overloading potassium, canned fruits drowning them in syrup, sprouts carrying hidden bacteria, and grapefruit interfering with life-saving prescriptions. Each case was unique, but the outcome was the same: a heart slowly pushed beyond its limit. But here is the most important truth: recovery is possible. I have seen patients who removed these risks and replaced them with safer options regain energy, stabilize their heart rhythms, and reclaim years of life. One woman, Mrs. Collins, returned to walking in the park with her grandchildren. Mr. Harris found that his fatigue lifted after he switched his morning banana for a small handful of berries. Mrs. Clayton stopped suffering from nightly cramps when she let go of her dried fruit habit. Mr. Douglas stabilized his heart function simply by abandoning orange juice. Mrs. Turner found peace in enjoying small slices of watermelon paired with protein instead of overwhelming portions. Mr. Whitman learned never again to eat lychee on an empty stomach. Mr. Bennett discovered that draining syrup from canned fruit changed his lab results. Mrs. Morgan survived infection because she finally chose to cook her sprouts. Mr. Wallace, devastated by his grapefruit experience, now warns his friends to always ask their doctor before changing diet. These are not rare cases. They are ordinary seniors who realized that at their age, details matter. It is not about fear, but about awareness. Natural does not always mean safe. Healthy labels do not always tell the truth. And the body you have today is not the body you had at 30 or 40. It is more sensitive, more fragile in some ways, but also wiser. It asks for balance. The path forward is not complicated. Choose low-sugar fruits like berries. Eat apples and pears whole. Try kiwi or cooked fruits for comfort. Pair fruits with protein or healthy fats to slow absorption. Stay hydrated. Speak to your doctor about how food interacts with your medications. Read labels on canned or packaged products. Avoid raw sprouts. Limit avocado if your potassium is high. Be cautious with grapefruit. Most importantly, listen to how your body feels after eating. Fatigue, dizziness, or irregular heartbeat are not just aging. They may be warnings that your food is colliding with your heart. When you begin to respect these signals, your heart will thank you. I have seen seniors reverse high blood pressure, stabilize arrhythmias, and walk strong again simply by paying attention to these details. The difference between decline and recovery often lies not in the hospital but in the kitchen. Every choice matters. Every bite is either feeding health or feeding harm. You do not need perfection. You need awareness. You need to remember that your heart has carried you through joy, grief, work, and love. It deserves care now more than ever. So the next time you stand in your kitchen holding a piece of fruit, pause. Ask yourself, is this serving my heart or silently straining it? Choose the option that protects your tomorrow. Because every beat counts. And the decisions you make today shape whether those beats remain steady, strong, and life-giving. Aging well is not passive. It is intentional. It is about honoring your body with every choice, big or small. As you move forward, know this: you are not too old. It is not too late. And your heart is still worth protecting. Replace harmful fruits with safe ones. Respect your medications. And build meals that nourish instead of sabotage. Let your shower of daily decisions be gentle, wise, and full of care. You do not need to give up flavor. You only need to give up the risks that come with ignorance. If you have listened closely, if you have seen yourself in these stories, then take one step today. Remove the dangerous fruits from your pantry. Boy berries, apples, or pears instead. Talk to your doctor about grapefruit and potassium. Share this knowledge with someone you love, because protecting your heart is not just about living longer, it is about living stronger, steadier, and with dignity. These lessons are meant to inspire you to live fully and authentically. Now, I would love to hear from you. Share one thing you have learned and plan to apply in your own life. Let us support each other on this journey toward truth and health. If you found this message valuable, leave a comment with number 1. If not, leave 0 so I can continue to improve. Do not forget to like, share, and subscribe for more heart-protecting insights. Thank you for your time. And here is to living the years ahead on your own terms, with strength in your legs, clarity in your mind, and a steady, faithful rhythm in your heart.